Hey y'all, what's up? Girls back at it again. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Get Since 92. Giving you guys the latest and exclusive content on new music, entertainment news, and inspirational quotes by me, the Queen's back at it again. So this is going to be another What Happened to R&B series part 8. What we're going to get to, and I will discuss about the 2000s R&B music. And this is going to be a special edition. So like I said, I've been wanting to do this video when the time was right, because I will talk about how and why R&B in the early 2000s, especially in the 2000s of R&B music, where it dominated and R&B artists really did a damn thing in music, period. I'm a millennial, so I remember all of these albums. I grew up with most of these artists during my generation, and I feel like just seeing how things have drastically changed in pretty much in the next pretty much 20 years. So 20 years done passed by, really, and I feel like the music that I grew up listening to, it was such a special time in music, and especially for black artists and other artists in general, because I feel like that's what's missing in today's music. But this is going to be a tribute to the early 2000s artists, and I will talk about how the 2000s R&B music was such a wonderful time, because artists, they really set the bar high in music. They worked with different producers, they set trends, and the music was such coming from a place of authenticity and the originality and pretty much the soul. And we got to hear different vibes and sounds from the 2000s R&B music. And really, the thing is, I find it really funny that today's R&B music, even though, like I said, I hate comparing, but you can't compare, because really, when it comes to the 2000s R&B music, especially the memorable R&B albums that, like I said, they really last a decade, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the bar was set so high. And I feel like the early 2000s R&B music, I would say 2000s R&B music, the early 2000s, of course, because like I said, I feel like 2000, that decade, start off with that year, that was when R&B starts to progress. R&B starts to really change and transcend times of just being able to be creative freely, and artists were really exploring different sounds, and they were working with different producers. Even the producers during that time and during that era, they had so much creativity, innovation, and they didn't held themselves back, because they knew what they brought to the table with their music. And this is why, especially looking at these albums right here, I see D'Angelo and Justin Timberlake and Ashanti, Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, Ali, Alicia Keys, Usher. Those albums are perfect examples of R&B really changed the game and changed the face of music. The reason why I say this is because, like I said, I really miss the days where R&B was pretty much just flourishing, and black artists were able to flourish, as well as, artists that were not black. And listen, I'll get into that a little bit later, and I will dig deep, because I have some concerns with today's music. The same thing can happen today in today's generation of music. So this is 2020, right? So we are, in a new year. And I hope and wish and pray 10 years from 2020 that there will be a big, huge shift in music, and talented artists really change the wave of music, change the genre of the sounds, and explore different sounds, and really hone in their talent and put in a lot of work with their craft, and don't be afraid to set trends. Because looking at these albums from the 2000s of R&B, these are classic albums, period. Because even the biggest names in music during their era, during their time, they really came from an essence of appreciating music, value the art, not being afraid to step outside their comfort zone when it came to like the direction of what sound they want to, make with their music. Especially like the production. The production in 2000s like R&B music, it just was more original. We had a lot of instrumentation, different harmonies, different melodies, melodics, and people, they were singing. A lot of R&B artists were singing, okay, or singing. You can sing or sang, either one or the other, but the type of singing style and the type of like direction, especially with like the music, had lived up to their voices, their vocals. Not only that, the production, it was very like just revolutionary, like with the sounds of really combining different elements and different, genres of music. And the producers during that time, they worked with many different artists. They worked with a variety of artists, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. During that time, the producers, like the big name, like the popular producers, but the really well-known, like talented producers that create a new sound and really set trends. And they were not afraid to work with a variety of artists because they knew that, especially a record, a song that they created, that they produced for an artist, that they could tell that record was meant for that artist. And it's really crazy how things have changed within the last 20 years because like all these albums from these, different talented, wonderful, great artists, that they really build off like the foundation of like making sure their art spoke for itself, making sure they were like individuals, making sure that the music represented them, and when you got to listen to their music, you know who was who. So it's kind of like, really, it was like these albums from these artists is like that I'm showing you guys on this picture. It's kind of like I'm giving you guys a really great idea and a glimpse of that era of the 2000s music, where it was like, it was really about the music, and people were really into the music and the art and culture. And then black artists in particular, they still were the face of, R&B and hip-hop. Even though, of course, we had artists that were not black, but they made a good contribution as well. But they also made good music as well. Like I said, you see what you see. Black artists like D'Angelo, Ashanti, Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, Aaliyah, Usher. They dominate R&B, okay? They really did. They dominated like the R&B charts. And really, like I said, they were really such like, they pretty put in the work of like what R&B was about. Mariah Carey is biracial. She's another icon, R&B legend. Mariah Carey's sound revolutionized like not only her sound but her vocals. And I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan too, and I'll talk about her a little bit too, because Mariah Carey, her sound, her image, her vocals, Mariah Carey's like ear and music really, made her stand out amongst her peers. Just like Beyonce, when she started out with her debut album, Dangerously in Love, I remember that era like it was yesterday. Okay, after Destiny's Child, I remember Beyonce getting ready to, take off her solo career as an R&B artist. And Beyonce did a great job making sure that she took her craft seriously, and she created a debut album that was like different layers, different, aspects of who she, was during the time as a new solo artist. And Beyonce, when she took off, because Beyonce did like R&B, pop, dance, especially from her debut album. It was more like an R&B, soul, hip-hop album, and a pop album too, but really mainly she catered to a lot like the R&B and hip-hop market. That was where like her debut album, Dangerously in Love, was like so huge to the point where it was like, whoa, Beyonce as a solo artist, like she made it. Ashanti is another one. Her self-titled album, debut album, Ashanti. And listen, I love Ashanti, and Ashanti was slaying it. Ashanti's still relevant even though she's not popular anymore, but I feel like some people want to discredit her because, like I said, times have changed. But Ashanti was also the face of black female R&B artists and music too. I remember Ashanti came out, she had like more like that bubbly, eccentric, sassy, sexy like girl next door, but her music was more like different variety of the sounds, and she worked with like producers that really gave her a sound that really stood her apart. made her stand apart from her other peers. She did like the R&B, the hip hop, the pop, the dance, everything. She could sing and dance. So it's almost like you see how even to compare and contrast to like the artists that came out in 2000s to the artists that are right, coming in now. It's kind of like, it's pretty much, like I said, something that I've noticed that really when it comes to like these artists right now in 2020, I just feel like they just lack the direction of like, I'm not saying they're not creative because they're starting out, but it's when it comes to like production, everything sounds the same. Where in the early 2000s, like in the 2000s music, R&B, people, they did different sounds. You heard different instrumentation. They worked with just different producers. The producers back then, they were really on their A game, because not only did they grow up with like the sounds of the music that they grew up with when they was, coming up, during their childhood, but they wanted to bring back that essence and nostalgia of like R&B and really, bring back that traditional, like, just the like formula. I wouldn't say a formula, it's just like that tradition of like, okay, we're gonna bring R&B back to where it is, because we want to bring like the fun, the soul, everything that makes R&B what it is, how the sound, explore different sounds. Don't be afraid to test the waters with the sound. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you guys about the male R&B artist, Usher. That album, Confessions. Usher's album, Confessions, pretty much, I don't care what nobody says. If I had to pick and choose like the best R&B album from a black male artist, it's plenty of them. But Usher, and this is why I want people to give Usher his flowers, because Usher pretty much, I hate to say it because I would want to see more R&B male artists take after Usher, because Usher, during his era, he studied the greats. Usher's Confessions to me is one of like the best R&B albums of his career, period. It's pretty much like one of those albums of his career that really catapulted him to like that huge mainstream success, even from a black male R&B artist. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. When it comes to Usher, I don't play no games. People can say whatever they want to say about Usher, but Usher, he's one of the best, period, because Usher can sing, he can dance, he writes his stuff, he produces his stuff. And Usher pretty much really changed the game in R&B music, because this album Confessions is one of the game changer R&B albums, period. It's one of those albums from his catalog that he really like pushed the envelope in his music, and it was like a thing, his songs, Confessions, like he was like, his dark secrets, what he was going through in his personal life. He really took that album by storm, and people knew, like, yo, Usher, Confessions, ooh. It was kind of like, oh my goodness, what was going on? The anticipation, what was Confessions about? But that album is a perfect example that Usher really created an album that was like R&B, pop, dance, soul, funk, a little bit of everything. Even like the new wave of music, even the crunk and B sound. We already know, Usher, he really redefined what R&B and what hip-hop was during the time, because Usher was able to really, like, really, take matters into his own hands and really craft, an R&B album that really, he really was getting more, breaking into his shell as a solo male R&B artist. And I wish that even today's R&B male artists, some of them I like, and some of them are talented, but I wish they would get the same push. I wish that they would get the same, like, support. And then the rest of them, some of them are, like, cocky, and some of them want to call, titles and all this extra stuff, because I feel like, really, it's like this. When you're an artist, you're just supposed to work on your art. And you want to make sure that you want to make music that represents you, and then years from now people remember you and your music. And Usher is one of these male R&B artists, the black R&B male artist, that he came into this music game at a young age. He was young, so he studied the greats. And I feel like Confessions will always be like Usher's like great albums of his career. And I mean by one of the standout, the most memorable albums that he has ever made in his career, because that album, Confessions, is pretty much like that R&B album that like it just has so much soul and just so much like innovation. And Usher was like always developing his own style, his own sound. He was always pushing his artistry to take it to another level. That's why I feel like people want to try to disrespect Usher nowadays, because people are like, oh, now it's like it's all about so now and other R&B artists. But to be honest, they can't hold a candle to Usher. And what I mean by that, I'm not putting him down. It's just like Usher, his era of music is so ahead of his time. Like Usher pretty much like made it known that, you know, he really pushed himself and he really wanted to create a body of work that was just not just some R&B album that he just put together in like what, a month. You know how like, you know, some of these R&B artists, they do make microwavable music nowadays and they are trash. They make trashy music, because Usher's Confessions album is pretty much like one of those like albums that he really, it's almost like he was really trying to, it's kind of like he just, you know, he was just coming, it's almost like he was coming to his own. Not only that, he had so much of like that creativity, and he was, you know, Usher has always been a versatile artist. Like, you can never put him in a box. That's what I'm missing from some of these R&B male artists. Now, some of them who are talented as hell, they have that same mentality and mindset, but it's because of how, like I said, the oversaturation of music. I really like want future R&B male artists, whether they're solo artists or in a group, make sure you study the greats that came before you, but also find your own sound, find your own niche. Make sure that you're original, you stand out. Make sure that you create something that hasn't been heard before. That's why I feel like today's R&B music now, compared to like 2000s R&B music, really, it's a new sound, it's a new wave, it's a new everything, but it's lacking the soul, it's lacking the innovation. So with that being said, let's talk about Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys, another biracial R&B artist. Alicia Keys been doing the damn thing too, and people, like I said, I remember growing up with Alicia Keys because I was like young. Alicia Keys is another R&B pioneer in music. She, you know, sold a lot of millions of records along with her peers, Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Ashanti, Aaliyah. Her sound, you know, her album, The Diary of Alicia Keys, pretty much redefined the sound of R&B. And Alicia Keys, she really studied the sound of R&B. You know, she had a lot of that like soul R&B, old school flavor sound R&B, funk, jazz, pop. But especially with The Diary of Alicia Keys, it was more like that R&B soul hip hop album, where her sound was more like soulful and sultry. And what I love about Alicia Keys, and I still love her to this day, is like Alicia Keys pretty much is one of these artists, especially like for female R&B artists, she has a great ear in music. And I feel like listening to The Diary of Alicia Keys is just one of these groundbreaking R&B albums that it's kind of like she really pushed the envelope with her sound and with her music, to the point where it's like, really, I do hear some of her influences from today's young R&B female artists as well. And I feel like Alicia Keys carved her own lane of R&B, soul, old school R&B, traditional R&B, and also put a lot of that like charisma. Her sound was more upbeat, more fun, but at the same time she kept it like versatile with like, you know, sensual songs, you know, songs that had a lot of heartfelt, a lot of meaning, poetic. Her music, to me, as I reflect back, very poetic, because when she came out, she blew up. She was everywhere. I remember like when I was young, I was like, who's Alicia Keys? And everybody's like, Alicia Keys, you know, she's the new R&B artist. But Alicia Keys really made sure that she solidified her spot in her lane of R&B music. That's what I love about Alicia Keys. I feel like Alicia Keys is another R&B icon and legend because she really did her homework and she loved music. She had a lot of passion for it. But as always, I feel like Alicia Keys really had a lot of that, like, I would say good ear music. She had like that old school sound and that new school sound, and she put it together. But the Diary of Alicia Keys is like one of these great Alicia Keys albums where it's like that album, I remember the album coming out, it was like, yo, Alicia Keys, she's back, with a brand new album, and she really, stepped her game up. I think the Diary of Alicia Keys, I think that's her sophomore album. Yeah, that's her sophomore album, so that is pretty much like the album where it was like, it just had a lot of that innovation. So Alicia Keys, of course, she's a pioneer of R&B forever. The next album I want to talk about is Mary J. Blige, The Breakthrough. I had that album in my CD collection. Mary J. Blige, of course, is the queen of hip-hop soul. I'm a huge Mary J. Blige fan forever, period. That album came out in 2005. I remember I think I was in middle school. Yes, I was in middle school. And that album pretty much really became Mary J. Blige's, like, I wouldn't say comeback album, but it was like a breakthrough album. It was like Mary J. Blige never left, and Mary J. Blige, we all already know her life, her story, and she's an inspiration to many people, to women, to other artists, her peers. Mary J. Blige is a perfect example of one of these artists that she gonna always, put in the work. She gonna bring her A game. She knows her sound. She knows, like, the sound that she created when she was young. When she started off young in her music career as a young artist. Mary J. Blige, like that soul, hip-hop, R&B, heartfelt songs. Songs about real life experiences. Mary J. Blige have always shown us and have opened up her diary. She really opened up her story about things that she went through. But her music has helped a lot of people. Hell, her music has helped me through my darkest times. So as a huge Mary J. Blige fan, I feel like The Breakthrough is one of those classic Mary J. Blige albums where it was like, okay, Mary J. Blige, like, she came out with this album, everybody went crazy over it. Like, she really brought like a new direction with the sound and the producers that she worked with. This album has a lot of classics where it's like R&B hip-hop, like that R&B hip-hop album, and like more like that motivation, like fulfilling your destiny, and really like a reflection, a self-reflection of like where you're at in life. I feel like, because when I had listened to this album, when I had got this album this year, and I feel like I really felt Mary J. Blige just like reflection, self-reflection, self-discovery, because a lot of things that she went through in her personal life, she really put into her music. And I feel like the Breakthrough album is, in my opinion, as a Mary J. Blige fan, she has other albums that are my favorite albums. The Breakthrough has to be one of my favorite Mary J. Blige albums. And I feel like, Mary J. Blige is really like, her artistry really took it to another level. She really stepped it up with like the production, the sound, the music, and really the producers that she was working with on this album, that she worked with on The Breakthrough, it really gave her more like that, and it's just like that. It's kind of like that breakthrough, like that redemption, that resilience, and at the same time, she was, dropping gems. She was dropping hints of like, things that she went through that now, she's at a point where it's like, hey, this is a new life for me, and I'm just going to take one step at a time and, make things happen. Because I feel like that's what's really missing in today's R&B's, like, especially like in today's R&B music, because it's like the production and these producers now, they make the same kind of production, sound, and music, But when you listen to like this album by Mary J. Blige, The Breakthrough, you'll get more of a better like feeling. You'll have that feeling, a lot of raw emotions coming through, and then you'll be able to like be like, wow, this R&B album is a classic for Mary J. Blige, period. Excuse me. But yeah, I feel like Mary J. Blige, when she came out with this album, it's pretty much like one of a kind. So next in line is Aaliyah. Now, we all know Aaliyah pretty much is the princess of R&B. Her self-titled third album, Aaliyah, came out in 2001. And this is where, unfortunately, Aaliyah had to go. She had passed away that year, that same year that she released this third album, self-titled, album, Aaliyah. I feel like Aaliyah's third album is one of my favorite albums because Aaliyah really stepped the game up. Aaliyah progressed as an artist, and with this album of Aaliyah, the self-titled third album, Aaliyah worked with different producers, like Missy Elliott, Static Major, Timbaland, other producers that really helped create this great body of work. This album has a lot of like that originality, that authenticity, R&B pop, funk, nostalgia R&B, alternative, and really Aaliyah really set the bar high for her artistry because she did not want to be put in a box. That's why, like I said, Aaliyah fans still go hard for her. We still ride on out for her to this day because some people love to discredit what this woman, has done in music, what she accomplished, her legacy. And we have to remind them, no, Aaliyah may not be a cup of tea. You don't have to be a fan, but when it came to music and how she made a contribution to like the music that she made, it's kind of like Aaliyah pretty much made history with this third album. Even though she passed away that same year, this third album, self-titled Aaliyah album, is like one of a kind because Aaliyah really pushed herself as an artist. She really set trends. She redefined her own sound artistry where she always wanted to like be herself. That's why I feel like Aaliyah is a perfect example of like, she's one of these artists, like she's a gem. She never wanted to be nobody but her. She always wanted to like redefine and push the envelope. Aaliyah is pretty much the blueprint because I do hear her, like the aesthetic, I do hear the influences from Aaliyah to today's upcoming R&B, female artists and male artists. But I feel like Aaliyah really, she took it to another level where I feel like the third album really showcased a lot of growth, a lot of progression, a lot of depth, a lot of harmonies and melodies and all that great stuff. And Aaliyah really, her sound was just so like, just organic and eccentric, and she was able to really create something that wasn't done before. And like I said, I feel like Aaliyah's music pretty much stands the test of time. It really sets, itself apart from other artists because I feel like Aaliyah really made sure that she wanted to like really, really push herself and not be afraid to just go for it, and not be afraid to just be like, what, regardless if people like my sound or not, they don't like my music or not, I'm still going to do it because I love music. That's why the Aaliyah self-titled third album is a breathtaking body of work. It's really beautiful, very cohesive from start to finish. There's no bad record period on there because Aaliyah, the producers that she worked with, they had a lot of creativity, they had a lot of range and variety, and they were not afraid to try different things with their sound because really this is what's so frustrating because it's like Aaliyah's sound was just one of a kind. But with that being said, I feel like, I wish I can go a little bit further into like her sound in general, but like I said, I feel like Aaliyah, she did the damn thing with her music. So Aaliyah, rest in peace, baby girl. Of course, you already know I rep. Okay, now we're gonna go into Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey came out with The Emancipation of Mimi. I have that album in my CD collection. That album came out in 2005. So the year 2005, Mariah Carey came back You know, this album is more like a redemption, more of like a resilience, push through like Mimi, aka Mariah Carey, never left. I remember like Mariah Carey coming back with this album. It was like, oh, Mariah Carey never left. She's another perfect example of a legend icon because this album is a great body of work. Very cohesive. She worked with like different producers, with her sound, you know, with her aesthetic, her artistry, and really there's a lot of chemistry on this album. I feel like the Emancipation of Mimi is pretty much one of these albums that in Mariah Carey's like catalog and her legacy, she really like just pushed through. You know, she really broke through barriers and she really like she just went for it. And I love that her singing, her style, her vocals, her direction, the producers made sure that the music lived up to her art and her artistry. And it's really great because Mariah Carey pretty much has influence with other like young female R&B artists that came after her. But with this album, it's so special because I'm, you know, Land Billy for life. And like I said, as a Mariah Carey fan, I feel like this album, reflecting back, listening to it from start to finish, she really made sure that she, you know, really brought a lot of that originality and that authenticity in her music. And it's a lot of soulfulness, a lot of soul, and this album is a lot of combinations of like R&B, pop, soul, hip hop, dance, and all that great stuff. So Mariah Carey, she hit it out the ballpark with this album. I love it, and like I said, Mariah Carey, she'll always be a gem, an icon, legend, period. Alright, let's get to Justin Timberlake's album, Justified. Now listen, I'm not a huge Justin Timberlake fan because, like I said, but I'm going to keep it cute. Justin Timberlake is a perfect example of these black artists, well, not black, I'm sorry, non-black artists. He's not black, he's white. But he's one of these artists that, like I said, he studied the greats. You know, he really put in the time and work and, you know, into his art. And what I love about, I haven't listened to Justified at all, period, but I can definitely tell that Justin Timberlake is another artist, that a perfect example of a non-black artist that he appreciated music, the art, and the producers that he worked with really did a great job making sure that his sound came to life. And he did, you know, bring a sound that had a lot like that R&B, pop, dance, influence, and nostalgia. And he was able to really stand on his own 2 feet. Now, in my opinion, I feel like, I've always felt like, you know, he's a talented artist. Don't get it twisted. He is talented. But there's some other things that I don't like. I just feel like some people, you know, they kind of overhype him. And to me, he's a little bit cocky in ways. But hey, whatever. It's a different story. A different video. But Justin Timberlake, he's one of these like artists, like non-black artists, is a perfect example that he really like, you know, embraced the music and the culture and the art. I feel like Justin Timberlake really, you know, he set the bar high for himself as an artist. And I feel like I listened to Justified because he did, like I said, you know, work with like a lot of the, you know, innovative producers that really sat down with him and created an album that really represented his artistry and his influences. You can get to hear his influences from other artists off of this, you know, album Justified. And I feel like that album's also one of like the standout albums of his career because he really put in a lot of work and effort to make sure that he wanted to know, like he wanted people to know like who he was during that time as a solo artist. And apart from NSYNC, from the group that he was, you know, part of, but he really made sure that he wanted people to know like his artistry. And I can say he did change the face and game of music as well because, like I said, he was a part of the era of the 2000s that really a lot of R&B artists is really trying to like break the mold in R&B music, you know, and not staying in one pocket. So with that being said, Justin Timberlake, he credit where it's due. I'm being respectful. He did his thing in music. That's all I gotta say. And then D'Angelo. Now D'Angelo is pretty much like one of the R&B icons and legends because he comes from like that R&B soul album, like that R&B soul, like R&B soul and like traditional R&B. And D'Angelo, you know, he really put out like his music is more like that old school flavor R&B with new school, you know, sexy music. and really heartfelt music. And I feel like D'Angelo really is like underrated in so many ways because he's one of like these R&B male artists that, you know, he can't be overlooked. And I feel like listening to, like I said, the album, what's the name of the album? Can't read it from here, but anyway. But he, like I said, I remember D'Angelo, like I said, when he was out, he was hot. You know, he brought something different to the table with his music. And he really, really created, like, an album that really was, like, it lived up to his artistry. And he really made sure that he wanted to, you know, really set the game and change it. So with that being said, I grew up with D'Angelo. He did his thing. He really shifted a new genre of music, and he just created his, you know, solid body of work with this album. And like I said, you know, he did a great job. And I feel like D'Angelo's sound was more like, you know, revolutionary, like that R&B hip hop department. So I feel like he really lived up to like the hype. So with that being said, guys, that's all I had to say. I wish I could like go further. It's probably gonna be like a part 2 of the series, because I really want to talk about like why the 2000s R&B music was so like a wonderful time in music. But to wrap this video up, I'll say this. This is pretty much the reason why the 2000s R&B music from these artists really changed the game and really changed the face and changed the narrative of like the whole entire genre. Now, this is what I want to hear from today's R&B artists and the future of R&B artists. I feel like even today's R&B artists, some of them, not all of them, because some of them, it's just they just lack that soul, and they lack pretty much when it comes to like producers. They work with the same producers, or like the producers don't have a lot of variety and range. And also I feel like listening to today's music, I don't really get like that feeling and that nostalgia and that soul and that passion as I did years ago, 20 years ago, during my time, my era, where I grew up listening to like R&B artists that really developed their own signature style, but they were also innovative, and they also made sure to, you know, be creative and work on their craft and their art. I feel like today's R&B artists too, they should take a note and take a page from like the artists from the 2000s as well, because they should make sure that, you know, set trends and not follow them. And yes, like I say, even the 2000s R&B artists did follow trends, which is nothing wrong with that, but I feel like the music was more like authentic, and I feel like the music was more like just authentic and very versatile. And it just was a lot of like, the producers were so like creative in the sound that they brought to the table. And also, like I said, you know, these artists really need to make sure that it's about longevity. They want to make sure like they want to make albums that years from now, like their fans can remember years from now. Like make albums that really is about art and growth and progression, and not just about popularity, and not just about like just chasing trends 24/7. Because I feel like that really, once we see the shift in the next 10 years, 20 years, and seeing today's R&B artists in 2020, just to see will they be able to like live up to their own artistry and have that longevity and have that like, you know, appreciation of music and art, and make sure that they want to evolve, they want to push themselves, and don't be afraid to experiment with their music and work with different producers that can bring them a sound that will represent them. So with that being said, guys, I gotta go right now, but please guys, let me know your thoughts and your opinions of my video, what happened to R&B part 8. Please do not be afraid to like, share, comment, subscribe down below. Please let me know how you guys feel about, do you have any classic R&B albums from the 2000s? Talk about like the ones that I talked about who are your favorites, you know, and tell me why do you guys like the album that you picked? What makes you really think that this album is really like innovative, and how did it change your life? So please guys, not be afraid to like, share, comment, subscribe down below. Please not be afraid to hit that notification button. Please not be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Please stay tuned. Next episode gets Cincinnati 2 Dragon Ball Z Never reference. And you girls exiting out. The Super Saiyan's out.